Ricky Thompson, Baylor radio sideline analyst, joins us on 365 Sports. Ricky, they got on a roll. Baylor had won 3 in a row, have won 3 in a row. Then they had the open week. Would you rather have played another game right then, or do you feel like maybe it was such a push to get back above 500 that maybe the rest and the decompression helped?
You know, 2 open dates in a season is a little bit odd. I think maybe this time, not a bad idea. I think before the last one, you were on a losing streak. The question was there, do you keep playing? Do you take a break, get people well? Obviously, turned out pretty good after that one. And I think this one too, maybe. I just think there was a lot of, maybe not necessarily more injuries, but I just think there was a lot of effort put into that 3-game winning streak that psychologically may have worn these guys out a bit. And I think the week off was good, particularly going to West Virginia, a place where we were 0-6, by the way. I think it's good. I think that sounds like Aranda thinks they're healthier than they've been all season. We'll see how that plays out. I know they could use a couple of these defensive guys back that have been out for a while. We'll see, but I don't think it hurt, Smokey. I really don't. I think it was probably pretty good timing.
You mentioned that mentally exhausting, and especially to shake the TCU monkey off their back. That's one. But now to have that, then you have the week off. Can they take that confidence of we don't have the here we go anymore? We could maybe do that when we go to Morgantown as well and shake that monkey off their back.
I think absolutely, yeah. I think really 2 things. Number one, the win in Lubbock was still a huge win. That was a time when they were really struggling, and you go in there and just blow Texas Tech out. Then come back, beat Oklahoma State. We know how they're reeling. They're not doing well at all. But the win against TCU was huge. Of course, they turned around this last week and strum Oklahoma State pretty good at home. So I think they're pretty confident. I think particularly offensively, I'm seeing a really confident football team. I think Trigg has kind of hit his stride and finding out where and when he can help this team and how. Sawyer, we've all talked about that. I think he's been a game changer there. A couple of changes in the offensive line have been really effective. I think now maybe after this week, we see what the secondary does. We see how they've improved. If you get them where they're just better, not great, but better, this can be a really good football team. And I don't think they're going up there with doubts that they can win these games. Remember, most of these guys aren't part of that 0-6 stretch in Morgantown, so they really don't know the difference. I'm hopeful and pretty optimistic that they'll play well.
Ricky, does it feel like the receivers, as much as Sawyer has been very sharp and very accurate, and maybe even the play calling has improved because the offensive line has improved everything since it all starts up front, but does it feel like the receivers, and you could even extend that to a Michael Trigg or even the running backs, have stepped up their game as well to go and make the tough catch and to go get that first down as opposed to it gets batted away or you drop it because you're looking upfield?
Yeah, Craig, I do. I think all of that plays off of each other. I think, first of all, they figured out they've got a quarterback that's going to get the ball there if they're open. And he's not going to hesitate to sling it if they're covered because he's got the confidence they'll make the catch. Then you've seen a couple of guys, Hal Presley's made catches where he's been covered up. Josh Cameron, he has made 2 or 3 catches, all hands on the wrong side of his body that I don't think generally people realize how hard a catches those have been. They're unbelievable catches. Now, he was open, granted, but that ball is a 50-50 ball, and he's made it look easy on nearly all of them. So I just think there's a confidence there. Where in the past we were seeing we were dropping a ball on first or third down, didn't pick up the first. We weren't getting the 50-50 ball when we were covered. Right now we're making those plays, and I think it's made a huge difference. And these other guys feed off of it. I mean, you've got Washington had 12 carries for 96 yards in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good ball game, much less fourth quarter.
So we have not talked to you since the TCU game, have we?
I don't think we have, guys.
Okay, so one of those plays that we're talking, that trig on 4th and long. I mean, can you take us? I know we kind of have to move forward, but hey, we're just observers, so we can go back a little bit. What were your thoughts on that big 4th down conversion against TCU and just that general atmosphere and a win like that at home? Just kind of how did that resonate with you, Ricky, a few days back?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're going for it.
Yeah,
that was my first thought. We're 4th and 9, not 4th and 3 or 4. We're 4th and 9 at the 46. 16 seconds when the ball snapped.
Yeah.
You don't give TCU a lot of time, but one catch and they're in field goal position and it goes the other way. So I think it was a gutsy call. I thought Sawyer did a great job. I don't know if everybody noticed this. I'm not sure that was his number one guy. If it was his number one guy, he did a great job of looking the defense off because he came back in his drop and he's looking left. He comes back to Trigg late, hits him in a hole between 2 defenders. Trigg makes a great catch on the ball. A lot of pressure on a 4th and 9 play that's got good blocking, a good throw, and a good catch. And ball game. And, well, not true. That's still, a 45, 44-yard kick? You got to kick at it. And then Washington goes 13 yards on the next carry, carrying guys with him. In fact, I was scared to death. Man, go down. Stop.
Yep.
You need to hit the dirt because the clock's going to run out. But 5 seconds to go, kick right down the middle, win. I mean, and Craig, those wins like that go a long way when it's under that kind of pressure. When you win one on the last play, a little bit like the way the Colorado game gutted us, I can tell you that one was a gut wrencher for TCU. And what a clutch drive that was to get down in field goal position.
Well, if you win one like that, Colorado beating Baylor the way they did, it seemed like that gave them, that's just a game that otherwise would be another loss in your column. It kind of gives you like an extra out in baseball, right? You don't want to give a team 4 outs in an inning. It's going to come back to hurt you. And when you get one that goes your way, I can imagine it gives you a spark.
Exactly. I mean, that game could have very easily been an L, and instead of 5 and 4, you're 4 and 5. Much different scenario going into these last 3. If of course, typically, this was an easy stretch or the easier stretch in the schedule, these last 3. And then all of a sudden, Houston's playing pretty well. And I tell you what, guys, Kansas is good. I don't know how their record is what it is. I watched part of that Iowa State game, and they cleaned their clock. They played really well. And West Virginia in Morgantown is always good. So to your point, without that big win like that, down in your daubers going into these 3, you may not get that 6 or the bowl win. And I think now you're really primed to do well and get more than 6. And I expect these guys to do it, and they've got to expect it. You just got to get tough and say, we're not going to just win 6. We're going to win out. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, because there's nobody left that they would be huge underdogs, although 2 of them on the road. But all 3 teams that are left are capable of making your day miserable. It's going to be West Virginia got a win last week in Cincinnati. We know what Houston's done. They've had a couple of bad ones, but beating K-State, and then at the end, Kansas. Who knows by then? They may have won 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah, they looked really good against Iowa State. I thought particularly their passing game hit some huge plays downfield against them. And, they lost some really close games along the way. So you could very easily win all 3 of these or very easily lose all 3. So they need to take the heat off, take the pressure off, win this one in Morgantown, get that first win. They win this one up here, guys, and I wouldn't bet against them going into those last 2. I just think this is a team that's gained so much confidence. And I just think back earlier in the year, maybe at Utah versus what we're seeing now. And this team does not even resemble that team some weeks ago.
Yeah, Ricky, I think, if you get that 6th win, which is bowl game, which is not only for the players, but for the coaches, I mean, I think everybody's going to be coaching free and breezy and playing free and breezy because now they know that they've got an extra couple weeks of playing, that the coaching staff, that last little, could they be gone is out the door, and no one has to worry about that anymore.
Exactly. And these guys know that pressure. The coaches know it. Players know it. Everybody, fans, think they don't realize it, that they just stick their head in the sand to this. They're not dummies. They know exactly what's going on, and they know what they need to do. And, yeah, huge pressure relief. And that is even more indicative of how big those last 3 wins were, Paul, because without those, you're not 5-4. You lose those 3. Think about it. You're 2-7 right now. If those flip the other way, that doesn't sound too good, does it? Even with 3 left. But that could have gone that way very easily if this team hadn't turned it around. And it's so impressive that they were able to do that. And still not a great team, but a good one. And as I said earlier, you get this secondary straightened out defensively, and this is a pretty dang good football team.
Ricky, thank you. Obviously, road trip to Morgantown. You're someone that likes to fly. Is that one of those where you have to fly into Pittsburgh? Where do you fly to get to Morgantown? I know there's a couple of options.
The team flies probably into Pittsburgh or just outside. They're about an hour drive. We're going straight into Morgantown, so it's good. But we'll go Friday and be there, get things set up and ready to go. 3 o'clock kickoff Central. That's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Their East time, so probably dark by halftime, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay. Playing at night, I kind of like it, even on the road. So I'm ready. I hope they are.
It was Stillwater that used to be the nightmare, the 800-pound gorilla. They finally were able to handle that one. This is the other one now, Morgantown.
Yeah,
with what's happening
that's
there.
it. Stillwater was tough until we went up there and picked off a couple, and now that's a different atmosphere. You don't worry about it. But it's really amazing this team is 0-6 when you had some really good football teams went up there. The Bryce Petty group, that only conference game they lost was up there, and on that one, drove down the first series with the ball and scored, went up 7-0, and then downhill from there. So don't know what it is, but I don't think it's anything relegated to just because it's Morgantown. It's just we've not played that well up there, and it's time to change that.
Thank you, Ricky. Enjoy your trip. Be careful. Ricky Thompson, former Washington NFL receiver, Baylor receiver, and a part of Baylor Radio Sideline Analyst.